Hi guys, just before you start the video, Tom and I have got something to share with you about the ice bars for you. Lumi ice bars. Get your ice bars, Lumi ice bars.
Get your ice bars, Lumi ice bars.
All right, let's go. Hi guys, just before you start the video, Tom and I have got something to share with you about the Lumi ice baths.
Can't wait to share with you that we have a link down below in the show notes that if you get 15% off your order using the code InsideAMind Pod on all ice bath and other accessories down from Lumi Therapy. Something Joe and I are super passionate about is ice baths as a whole, and especially during the summer, chucking some ice in there and bettering your mental health is good for everyone. So use code InsideAMind Pod for 15% off your orders down below. Enjoy the episode. Woo! Men are 2 times more likely to report financial stress as a major contributor to their anxiety.
Our being wants us to provide and protect for the women that we love, right?
That's healthy, where you're both trying to smash it. What do you reckon it's going to be?
Health and fitness.
Do you reckon? It's finances. It's finances.
This is your bread and butter, mate. This is where you come into your
It's
own.
our bread and butter. I'm excited to talk about this. I think it's such a big thing for men in particular as well, the finance side of it. And I'm going to start off with some facts and figures. And this is, men are 2 times more likely to report financial stress as a major contributor to their anxiety. 70% of men feel pressure to be the primary breadwinner. And also 60% of men report that job satisfaction directly affects their mental health. So I want to talk about it on different points. I want to talk about it on the job you pick for money as a whole, feeling like you have to be the breadwinner in a situation, which I don't know why. I feel like I have to do that as well. Like I just mentally, I just need to be like, I need to be in control of my finances and to look after Meg and stuff. Do you reckon that's just instilled in you, or is that, what do you reckon?
It's a good question. I think it's nature and nurture at the same time, especially for someone like yourself who has an element of control about their being. So if you have, again, I keep coming back to the ADHD thing because it's pointed in you. If you have ADHD, and I feel like an element of control in everything that you do is so important. I mean, you'll admit yourself is you're very particular about certain things, and that's very healthy to have, albeit it can be unhealthy as well, which we won't go into. But I feel like, because yourself, because being overtly controlling can push people away and it can piss people off. Like if I came to you and said, I've got an idea for the podcast, and you said, that's not what I had in mind. It's not particularly being open to other ideas, right? Which is why we and you can have constructive conversations. Yeah. And that's why it works, because I'm very open to sort of discussing with you about certain things. But in regards to your very nature, and you grew up with a dad, I mean, I can't speak on your behalf, but your parents was quite a traditional gender role. Your dad went out and earned, and he worked in the city, and it was very sort of macho and finance and everything else. And was mum a stay-at-home mum, or did mum work as well?
She worked for a bit, and then when they had the kids at home.
So it was, for the most part, it was quite traditional gender role. So growing up in that environment, I feel like you've experienced that and you've seen it, and you want to sort of replicate what dad did to a larger extent. So I think you've seen that. And I think maybe also an element of your ADHD comes into play as well, with the control side of things and wanting to provide for Meg, which is lovely in the most way. I feel like it's that. So I think it's your, and our being wants us to provide and protect for the women that we love, right? And if you're with someone and you want to take them out for dinner and spoil them, you're like, I got this. Even if you're struggling for money, you want, I've got this, and you want to sort of provide for that person. That makes you feel good. That makes you feel like you're worthy, and it makes you feel like you're the man, the provider, and the protector of the person that you love. Whether that's right or wrong, I feel like that's it's an 8 in me, and certainly is with you as well. I feel like that is just a sort of very male, sort of gender specified role that most of us have, I think.
But I also wouldn't want Meg to be a stay-at-home mum. I love the idea that she works so hard as well. Like I find that attractive. Yeah. I wouldn't want her to just live off, like, if it was that case, live off my money. Yeah. Or whatever it is. Like that makes me ick in a way. Okay. I love that she works. I'd want her to keep working, and then if it does come to a case down the line where there is kids and stuff, I'm sure it's a completely different situation to just.
And she might want to. She might want to go out and work and have a nanny, for example.
To me, that's healthy, where you're both trying to smash it as well, but then also at the same time having that, financial security. Yeah,
totally. I feel like
so important
in this day and age, I think in particular, I think that the usual gender stereotypes have waned slightly. I know I said it a minute ago about the gender roles, but in this day and age, when you almost have to have both parents, or both partners, in relationships, they both have to work because of how expensive life is now. If you've got someone that's staying at home doing nothing, if you don't have children, I wouldn't like that either. I'd feel like that's lazy. They've got no like ambition and all that kind of stuff. Like you say, if you have children, it does change things slightly.
It completely changes everything.
Like I've got 2 older sisters and in very long-term relationships, one younger, and one of them is a stay-at-home mum for the most part, and one of them is they haven't got children yet, but she wants to be out going out to work. She loves going out to work. So you've got 2 people from the same family doing 2 different things, and there's no right or wrong. It's just whatever works best for them. So the issue where it comes into is if you get let's say a father who wants their wife to go out and work and have children at the same time, and the wife doesn't want to. That's where it comes into sort of a bit of a, clash of sort of mindsets and ideas. And I think, again, come back to the communication part, is as long as you communicate that on what you want, I feel like it should work for the most part.
Do you think societal expectation plays quite a big role in this for like men? And it's like men need to do this, men need to act this way? Or do you think it's kind of changing at the moment and people are starting to become more independent in the way they think about it?
Yeah, it's definitely changing to have a more sort of even balance to things. But I feel like innately it's just always going to be there. I don't think that'll ever go away. But I feel like society is trying to have a balance to everything, whether it be male and female and sort of gender pay gaps in the workplace. They're trying to have a balance between everything. I am a big believer in that there will always be gender roles that are specific to certain people and certain characters, and within male and female, you're always going to have labourers will be more towards men, nurses will be more towards women, type of thing. I'm generalising here, but those things won't ever go away. But and it definitely is changing for the good, by the way.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's innately in our sort of very, very being and biology, those things won't ever go away.
Yeah. That's kind of just built into you, right?
Yeah.
It's not really like the roles which some women do, men just couldn't do, and that's why they're so like special at those roles. Yeah. And I think vice versa as well. I just think that's so important. Like, and you touched on that before, but it's so nice to see it is kind of changing, and there's like different avenues that people are going down or opening up, and you like to see
yeah, 1,000,000%.
In terms of like financial pressure in relationships, have you ever had, from your point of view, because this is something I go through at the moment, having my own business. Yeah, you put a lot of money into something with a business, you might not see the rewards for a couple years down the line. And that can be quite scary. Like the weight that's having over me in terms of like an anxiety standpoint. You just want to be at the finish line, but I keep reminding myself to like enjoy that journey along the way, enjoy the process of starting that business. And now 6 months in, I think, to the actual business, and I absolutely love it. But I think every single person who starts a business wants it to succeed, but 90% of businesses don't crash. Yeah, like in the first few months, and it's just like it's getting through that and that financial struggle overhead. I'm very lucky. I don't have kids. I'm in a relationship, but we're not married. We don't live together, so it's like the pressure's
the strain,
less. Yeah. But if you have kids, if you started a business and that business has failed, and you have a wife and you have a mortgage to pay off, that can be incredibly stressful. And there'll be people listening or watching this that will be in that situation. And I know we haven't personally been in it ourselves yet, and hopefully we don't get to the point where it's like we're super struggling financially, and it's taking a burden massively on our mental health. But even just at this point of time, I'm like, everything I'm thinking of is like, oh, I don't have enough money to do this, or like I'm shit. Like I need to put this
start budgeting
here, or budget this here. And it's just that stress is horrendous.
It is. It keeps you up at night as well. I think even if you aren't, it does. I mean, I think even you said it a bit then. If you are a father at home with children in a business that you put everything into, it's that stress. I mean, you're. Luckily for you, that's unbearable, which is why
incredible people do that and function.
Well, I guess they have to. They haven't got a choice, because if they don't, then there's failure. They lose their home, they lose everything they've worked so hard for. So I think particularly nowadays, where everything is super competitive, is an age where everything's online. If you open a shop of some description, it fails, or COVID hit, and it's this like constant like revolving door of stuff that's going to happen to you, and roads you need to get down, and roadblocks that are going to be constantly put in the way for you. And like you said, like you have the advantage of not living in a flat that you're renting or a house that you bought. Yeah. In a house where you're not sharing it with your girlfriend, you take out for dinner every night of the week, and you can sort of budget for that. Whereas it's so hard for anyone who's running their own business full time with a family. It's mad. You know, there's so much stress with it, and there's not a lot of help out there for people who need to be getting the advice and the financial freedom to be able to do the decisions they want and the choices they make. It's unbearable. Like it's unbelievable.
I hope that people listen to this and we bring some really good like financial people on who are like, maybe look at doing this, or maybe look at putting your money in this, or just for example, for the guys or girls listening to this as well, out there's a guy called Scott Galloway. If you haven't listened to Scott Galloway before, would highly recommend. This guy's an absolute genius, and he talks about like low cost index funds and how your money grows 7-8% in these funds every year, and the compound interest of it. So say if you put like 5,000 in, then the next year and the next year and 25 years down the line, this isn't an exact number by the way, but it's like £125,000, and it's talking about things like that where people might not necessarily think about, which I'm starting to look at the moment. That could just take some of that financial stress on, knowing there's like long-term money in something, and we'll bring some hopefully really good people on who can actually share that, because this is just Joe and I's point of view.
Is it Martin Lewis who goes on to a lot of those the morning chat shows and breakfast shows?
Marketing guy.
Yeah, he's like he's like a finance guru. Like he gives really no nonsense advice to people who are looking to invest in something and don't quite know how to do that. He goes on to This Morning or you know, whatever, and he just, I think it's Martin. Is it Martin Lewis? I think it might.
Let me look it up.
But yeah, I think he's the guy who basically just like breaks down a lot of the stigmas around money. And because if I go on a website, right, and I start to look for advice on mortgages and investing money in stocks and shares, there's so much jargon and rubbish out there that he basically breaks down the crap and says, this is how it is, Martin Lewis. Yeah. So he's basically like a money genius, but it doesn't confuse people. And I recommend looking into people like that and people who are going to give you sound advice, but it's just not going to really confuse you and give you that grey area. I feel like the people like that would really, really be helpful, and we can get someone like that on. It'd be pretty epic.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
For all my homies listening to this that are struggling mentally and have a lot of anxiety around financial situation and their income and things like that, I'm there too. If you ever want a message, like ping me a message whenever. These situations are just very stressful.
Yeah.
And there are lots of things which you can do, which again will bring the right guests on to talk about, and hopefully that does help in some way and could help not just myself but also everyone listening. Big
time. I feel like you as well. I think just to touch on what you just said, I feel like that comes back to the community piece earlier. I feel like if you are going through something that's really, really fundamentally sort of dragging you down, whether it be financial or relationship that we touched on earlier, or health and fitness, like we're going to touch on later on as well, I think what I would say to that is surround yourself with people who are going to be giving you good advice, not bad advice. You know, it's the classic saying, isn't it? If you surround yourself with people who are good and going to give you bring you up rather than bring you down, doors tend to open for you and good things tend to happen around that. So I think it's just choose your friends wisely, and maybe like you with your dad. If you want to go to your dad for advice, you probably wouldn't go to Meg for it. You wouldn't go for Meg for advice, for example. Not saying that Meg is bad with money, but you probably wouldn't go for something else, like with a friend, or if me or Siobhan have annoyed you, might go to Meg for that rather than dad. So I feel like it's just square pegs around holes sometimes. Maybe not Siobhan. Never go to Siobhan for anything. Not even this. But yeah, I feel like it's square pegs around holes sometimes, and some people just surround themselves with people who aren't necessarily good for them in that way. So I feel like it's just choose your battles and find people who are going to be good for that advice.
Agree. Now we're going to spin for our third wheel.
Third and final.
All right. We've got Q&A and relationships left.
Oh, okay. Nice.
We're Q&A. We're Q&A time. These are exciting. I quite like this. The first question. And it is, hey guys, do you think Andrew Tate is a force for good for men or not?
Mate, what a question to start things off with.
Hey guys, do you think Andrew Tate is a force for good for men or not?
Wow, I'll let you start with that one, mate. You can run with that one.
When I saw it, I was like, fair. That's actually a really good question.
That's a very, very big question.
Not easy. I think there are a lot of cons that I have personally, and also I have quite a lot of pros of some of the things he says. He recently did an interview with Piers Morgan on the riots. I don't know if you've seen this on Piers Morgan Uncensored. I saw a clip of it, and he was basically just talking about the riots that are going on in the UK at the moment and should they stop. And he was like, absolutely, they should stop. And he was like, you have more in common with the people around you than you do some of these political elites that are running this country. And he was like, we're fighting among us, but the people you're fighting love their children love their families just like you love your families, and they're hardworking people just like us. And then you don't have anything in common with these political elites and things like that. And it's little comments like that where I'm like, you're not wrong. Like, these right situations are nuts. I don't know enough about them to talk on them properly. But, like, I think he's completely right in little things like that. But then there's some of the things he says where I'm like, the toxic masculinity stuff, I don't agree with. You know, how his, like, views can sort of, like, reinforce sort of, like, harmful stereotypes a lot of the time, especially in the some younger generation. They're a bit too extreme for me. I'm just quite, like, chilled. I don't know. They're a bit too mental some of the time, and I don't know if that's just necessarily him. You know, that's the stuff that goes viral. That's the stuff that gets clicks. I don't know if that's necessarily, you know, the goal, or whether it's like that's something he says to promote a lot of his other stuff or whatever. But things like that, and dismissing, like, the mental health issues side of things, he kind of, in my opinion, he oversimplifies what mental health is. He's like, if you're fit and healthy, if you're feeling good, if you're, like, if you can fight, if you can do this, if you can earn money, then you can have no mental health problems. And it's like, from my opinion, I'm physically fit. I feel mentally great at the moment. You know, I have my own business. I'm doing this. I still struggle with mental health problems. It's just not that simple. And it's things that I disagree on. But I do think his chats about mental toughness and how important it is for, like, the younger generation, also just our generation, to be mentally tough. And he said a line that I actually thought was quite poignant one time, where he was like, if you can't control your mind is, at the end of the day, the only thing you can control. And if you can't control your mind, then you're just a feather in the wind of life. And I thought that was a really important point. And it's how you react to things. You know, are you, example, he used stoic, but whatever you want to use, it's like how you react to situations, how you feel about situations, you know, how hardworking you are. Can you control your brain, and your brain not control you? And it's little comments like that where I like, completely agree. But then on the other side, there's some, like, crazy things where I think the complete opposite, and I'm like, please stop sharing.
But I agree. That's a great question, by the way, whoever wrote that in. I think
I said I keep them anonymous.
Yeah, no, totally. I agree. I think I'm like 95% hate everything he stands for, but the 5% of it and the things he just come out with, like the odd quote here and there, you can't really argue against. But I feel like that's just clever marketing on his part. I feel like he's a total narcissist who is, on the whole, like, a really toxic individual who, if he wasn't saying the odd thing here and there that we agree with, like men need to be men, stand up for themselves, and blah 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 blah, which we agree with, but then anyone would agree with that. Like, anyone can come up and say that kind of thing, and the odd quote here and there, it's like I can't even imagine him and that interview with, like, two massive egos, like just the most egotistical hour of your life. Like, I can't even imagine it. But to come back to it, I think, whilst the 5% of things I do agree with, me, you, Siobhan could come up with that in 5 minutes and say exactly the same thing as him, and I would be like, oh my God, I really agree with him. But I think he's actually gone the complete opposite way. I think he's really damaging to people in many ways, because him saying that mental health is basically made up, and it's basically for the snowflake generation that again, Piers Morgan refers to everyone being snowflakes. I'm like, well, you know, a large part of that is down to the generation of parenting that we have, and not down to the people that are just being brought up with issues. You're not born. You can be born with problems, of course you can, but being blamed for that and saying that we're a bunch of snowflakes, that's not exactly helping the issue, is it? So
not at all.
No, I feel like, I won't get too stuck on him, but I think that whilst we can agree with some of the things he says, I think that he's actually, a lot of the time, he's a complete dick.
Misogynist, is that the right word?
He's a total misogynist. He's a complete and utter narcissist, and probably the most self-centered person you'd like to see on the internet. Probably one of them, if not the most self-centered person you'd like to see. So I'll go.
Sensitive topic.
No, but I get it, because I get this on the one hand, we're championing guys and we want them to be stoic and brave and talk about their issues, being in a brave, strong environment, and
succeed,
be safe and go and succeed, and sort of
why we do this,
and challenge the sort of the stereotypes, and challenge the things that we're being told that we can't speak out for ourselves, and be guys and make mistakes and go out there and fight the good fight. But I feel like he's just like another level of something that you want to try and avoid being like. Extreme. Yeah, if I had a friend like him, we wouldn't be friends for very long. I felt like if I hadn't seen you for a year or two and you came back like Andrew Tate with your cigar in your mouth and, you know, rolling up in your pink Lamborghini and playing loud music for everyone to hear with your tattoos, and I feel like I'd be like, no, I'm good.
Yeah.
Thanks, but no thanks.
For season 2.
Yeah, season 3 maybe.
Yeah,
maybe season 3. Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome question. Thank you for that.
Yeah, that was good.
Second one is, what does success really mean in 2024?
Oh, wow.
There's a lot of avenues you could go down by this. I sent a reply back, but I didn't hear back online whether it's what aspects this is in. But what's your sort of view when you hear